Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grimflayer. Hope you're all doing very well today, and we are coming to you with another live recorded donation league. This, my friends, this is a very cool take on the Sultai green, black, blue archetype. It is called Salty Sultai, and we are going to get into the deck tech, and then we're going to play it through a league. And this is also going to be the first post-ban league. You may have seen my previous video I put out yesterday. We've got Looting is gone, Hogak is gone, and Stoneforge Mystic is in the format. We are not playing with Stoneforge today, obviously, although we will in the near future one way or another. I assume we've got some more donation leagues coming up. Maybe somebody will want that. And if not, well, I'll just have to carve out some time to do it myself. But anyway, before we get into the deck tech here, we are thanking the people who make this content possible. So, we have three Patreon supporters in particular to thank. We have Mads Rasmussen, who is a brand new Inquisitor. We have Frank Armaton, who used to be a member of the Unearthed tier and is now a Confidant. And we have Mike Jin, former Inquisitor, now a member of the Unearthed tier. So thank you, Mike and Frank, for upgrading your level of support. And thank you, Mads, for joining us on Patreon. And thanks, as always, to all Patreon supporters. Hope I got your names correct, by the way. You know, I try my best with the names. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes not so much. But in any case, thank you so much to each and every one of you. You are dearly appreciated. And speaking of appreciating the support, well, let's have a massive shout out and an enormous thank you to the man who made this donation league possible, Anthony Zolman. So, Anthony reached out to me on a different video and said, hey man, what's the deal with donation leagues? How much do they cost? And I said, well, you know, it's a $50 fee, whether you get that via accumulated Patreon donations, which Anthony's not on Patreon, or, you know, in your case, Anthony, it would be a straight donation. And at this point in the channel, I'm also trying to kind of keep it mostly to cards that I already own. You know, if I have to pick up a card or two, it's not the end of the world, of course. Or cards that I can borrow. So what do you have in mind? And Anthony said, well, I want you to play the Sultai list. And I said, man, the list looks awesome, but I'm sorry, I don't really own any of the blue cards. Do you happen to have them online, and would you mind if I borrowed them? And Anthony said, I don't actually play online at the moment. Maybe that'll change one day. But for now, how about if I just donate you the 50 and then donate you another, what turned out to be another somewhat significant sum, so you can pick up the cards you're missing. And to that I said, my friend, you've got yourself a deal. So Anthony Zolman, huge props to you, my friend. Thank you so much for making this content possible. This league is for you. I hope I do your deck justice. Let's talk about the deck before we play it. It's definitely off the beaten path. Sultai in general, right, is a little bit off the beaten BGX path, especially now that we have Stoneforge Mystic for Abzan. We have Rock, Jund, Abzan, all with strong identities, all with coherent game plans, all going to be seeing a lot of play in the future. Sultai has a lot of very powerful cards at its disposal, but the kind of conventional and received wisdom is that it's hard to get them all working together toward the same purpose. That's why you see, even though Sultai is more of a fringe color grouping than the others, you also see more variety in the Sultai decks as people try to make their own take on it work. And that's what we've got going on here. So, first thing to note is there are only 22 lands, low land count, and a lot of creature lands here. We've got 3 Tar Pits, which is a great land, and a Hissing Quagmire. So, I am just very slightly worried about the density of those relative to the low overall land count. However, Sultai traditionally does lack closing power, so I definitely understand wanting to play a high number of creature lands. You know, it does make sense. We'll see how it all fits together, but that is one thing to note. We are slightly lower on the land count than we're used to being. All of the black cards and the green cards and the gold cards, of course, should be very familiar to viewers of this channel and BGX players as a whole. It is worth noting we do have 2 Collective Brutality main, which is more than you usually see these days in any BGX decks, and I really like that, because as we get into the blue cards are a little bit higher variance. You know, they might be really good or they might not be so good depending on certain scenarios, especially game 1, right? So Collective Brutality, helps shore us up against the aggressive decks. We are a little bit softer there on average, I think, because blue does not line up as well against the aggressive creature-based decks as splashing red or white, or just staying green-black might. And the 3-color mana base hurts, and as mentioned, the blue cards can be a little bit higher variance, so I really like 2 Collective Brutality there. And then we've got 4 Inquisition and 2 Thoughtseize, again as a nod to the more painful land here relative to 2-color. Only 3 copies of Fatal Push, but of course we do have Snapcaster Mage. Snap Push is going to be a very common line for us, I hope, this league in the matches where it's good. 2 copies of Hex Drinker. I did mention the lack of closing power. That's typical of Sultai, and Hex Drinker is a good answer to that. 4 Tarmogoyf, of course, the other major closer. 2 copies of Skooz, 2 copies of Tracker. Definitely a nice creature suite, no complaints there. And no complaints for the gold cards. We've got the exact split that I've been on lately. 1 Decay, 1 Pulse, 3 Trophy. The blue, of course, the blue column is where things do get interesting. So you might have seen Teddy Kaiser's donation league where we tried Sultai Snow, and the blue cards that he brought to bear were very different from the ones we're seeing here. We were looking at Serum Visions there, and some different blue sideboard cards, and certainly no Stubborn Denial, or Opt as I recall, and definitely not Spreading Seas. Snapcaster Mage, of course, is the biggest attraction, I think, to playing blue, but we've got all kinds of spicy stuff going on here, so as mentioned, lots of different takes are possible with Sultai. Snapcaster Mage needs no introduction, but let's talk about the rest. So, Spreading Seas. Note that we are actually playing, I think this might be the first time ever on this channel where I have not registered Liliana in a green-black deck. So no Liliana and no Dark Confidant. We're kind of far away from the staples. Spreading Seas is going to be a nice proactive thing to do that also replaces itself, also draws us a card. This is our built-in 2-for-1 that we kind of need without Icefang Coatl or without Dark Confidant. Definitely interested by it. And I actually think Spreading Seas is probably better positioned post-ban than it was pre-ban. However, it's definitely a card that doesn't see that much play outside of Merfolk, where it of course enables the island walk on their lords. So how useful ultimately it will be relative to other options, I'm really interested to see. I don't know how to rate it. We do have 2 main and 2 sides, so we're not all in on it. If it's bad, we can side it out. We only had 2 dead cards main. Or, and they're never even dead, right? Because they still draw a card. So Spreading Seas is definitely one of the most intriguing things about this build. And then we have the fact that we're playing Opt over Serum Visions, which of course is a worse card in terms of, filtering your draws, setting up following turns progressions, but it plays better with permission. We can hold up Opt, and we can hold up Stubborn Denial. If we don't need to stub anything, well, we can, of course, just cast the Op on the opponent's end step. That is the idea. And, of course, these cards start accruing really nice value alongside Snapcaster Mage. So we can also be holding up Fatal Pushes, Decays, Trophies, and so on in those types of scenarios. So Stubborn Denial is arguably the card that made Grixis Shadow possible. Made it a real top-of-the-format deck in its heyday. We know how powerful this card can be. This is definitely a deck that is not going to leverage it quite as well as Grixis Shadow does. Tarmogoyf is going to be the only consistent early ferocious piece that we have, but we can still definitely get there, or we can just force spike them out. It's definitely an interesting inclusion. Going to be very high value in a lot of matchups, and I can tell you that our opponents are very unlikely to be playing around it until they see it, so that is cool. Moving to the sideboard, we have, as mentioned, 3 and 4 copy of Spreading Seas. We also have a very spicy one of Hurkyl's Recall. This actually, I believe, used to be a Nile Spellbomb, but then the ban change happened, and Anthony and I both do expect artifact decks to take off in the wake of the looting ban, and so Recall can be held up at instant speed alongside all of these other things, and of course is a really nice tempo play against artifact decks. And hopefully we will have enough of a board presence and we will have traded well enough that it's not just a temporary reprieve, it's a big blowout, and we can close the game out from there against the decks where Recall is good. We also have some hard counters in the side. We have basically a negate that's attached to a life loss effect in the form of Counter Squall. So Counter Squall is traditionally a big attraction to playing UBX decks with permission, and I do like its inclusion here. I think it's really cool. Hopefully we get some feel-good moments today with Counter Squall. We also have 2 copies of EE. One big attraction to playing a 3-color BGX deck is, of course, the fact that we can set EE to 3, and that is huge. That's very, very crucially important in a lot of situations. And, of course, it's still good on 0, 1, and 2. And as mentioned when I talked about how I like the 2 Collective Brutalities main, blue splash is a little bit softer, I think, on average, to the aggressive decks, the go-wide decks, than Rock or Jund or Abzan in a vacuum. Therefore, I do like playing 2 copies of EE. Definitely feels like a powerful and coherent addition to the deck. We also have Damnation, of course, to help us against those types of decks, and Liliana the Last Hope, similarly good against those decks. We all know how good she can be. We are very light on Graveyard Hate, given the recent changes, but we are still packing a couple Surgical Extraction. And the reason to continue packing Surgical is, number one, the Graveyard decks are not dead. You know, you'll still see them around for sure. We just don't need to dedicate as many slots to them. But Surgical is definitely going to give us a little bit of hope against those all-in Graveyard decks. It plays really well the Snapcaster Mage, and of course it can carry over into other matchups. You know, we're thinking combo. Maybe even big mana, but of course usually you pair Surgical with Fulminator against big mana decks. We don't have Fulminator in this deck either, so we'll have to see if we run into any of those decks, how we want to sideboard, whether we lean on that or whether we lean more on permission. I don't know. We'll have to see. Finally, Collector Oof, much like Hercule's Recall, artifact decks are going to be on the rise. It is worth noting we have a couple minor non-bows, EE with Oof, and of course 2 trackers as well. Nothing bad, nothing, noteworthy even really, but just thought it was worth mentioning. And I do like seeing a couple copies of Oof. I think it's going to be really important in our archetype post-ban. Definitely no arguments here. And then another very spicy inclusion rounding things out. We've got 2 copies of Obstinate Baloth. I'll go ahead and sort this by CMC, the whole deck, so you can just see what the curve looks like. And then we're going to go ahead and get right into our league with it. So, yeah, Baloth, of course, is going to be nice in mirrors as well as, just a big body in the matchups where you want that. The life gain is very relevant against aggressive decks against burn, and Baloth is a card that has flown under the radar in my view a little bit. I expected to see it back a little bit more than it has been ever since Jund rose back to prominence, but we don't see Baloth in too many decks, but we are seeing it in this one. So here it is, my friends. Here it is once again, and thank you once again so much to Anthony Zolman. Extremely generous donation, and let's play. Let's play a league. So Salty Sultai, presumably salty, referring to both the presence of spreading seas and the opponent's state of mind after we seize them out of the game. We'll see if we can manage that, but here we go. We have a keep. This is a keep. Pretty nice hand, all things considered. Opponent will mulligan to 6. Opponent will mulligan to 5. Well, okay, it's a pretty good start for us, isn't it? Now, we could have taken a functional mulligan. Maybe they're on a deck where Fatal Push doesn't matter. We do have 2 of them, but it's the classic Game 1 BGX problem, right? We just don't know what cards we're going to need, so we're trying to keep hands with lands and spells. Opponent goes turn 1, City of Brass, Tome Scour. Okay, I think this is the new look Dredge deck. It sure is. Wow. Alrighty then. Okay. Well, that's pretty rough. They have 2 Bloodghasts in there. Nothing else too crazy in the graveyard, though. And right away, I'm kind of not sure what to do. We can hold up 1 Stubborn Denial. The problem with holding up Stubborn Denial, of course, is that They've already put 2 Cathartic Reunions in the yard, and I think it might be better to just shut them off of other colors. You know, they can cast another Tome Scour off of this, and it takes away their pain that they're dealing to themselves. But yeah, our hand is pretty awful against Dredge, not gonna lie. But as I was just about to say, you know, Spreading Seas is gonna dig us deeper into our deck, maybe find something that's actually good, and there we go. We got a Scooz. So if we can draw an untapped green land, that would be sweet. We can start going on the Scooz plan, but the opponent did get their Bloodghasts back. They do look like they have another play to make this turn. Life from the Loam. Alright, well, we really need that untapped green land right now so we can eat Life from the Loam, stop them from dredging. And we don't get it. We get knocked. It's pretty rough stuff. So, yeah, all we can do, I believe, is play the Scooz. Hope their Dredge isn't too bad. Hope they don't have anything else too crazy. And still hope to keep drawing green lands, right? Okay, so opponent hit a Stinkweed Imp, another Life from the Loam. No block. Alright, once again, we just want to draw an untapped green land. We can eat both the Dredge things, and then, well, okay, they've got another Scour, and they've got a Conflagrate in there now. Ooh, boy. Okay, well, pretty scary stuff, not gonna lie. And they have the other land. I was really hoping they didn't. Probably just going to get conflagrated right now. And if that happens, then I'm afraid we're pretty dead. Yep. Well, that is rough, and we draw Collective Brutality. Okay, so we just kind of need to hit another... We need to find our second Scooz, and we need to keep hitting lands. So I'm going to opt main phase in search of that. We got another Scooz. Alright, well, we have to top that. And, no other land, definitely rough. But we'll just pass. I do think we're pretty much dead, but, you know, I was actually on the verge of just scooping if we didn't see a Scooz right on the top. But since we saw the Scooz, we'll play it out for another turn or two. See if we can get there. And it is worth noting that our alternative line to Spreading Seas would not have been very good. Stubborn Denial. Like, the point is that they got a Dredge card in the graveyard anyway, right? So... wouldn't really have changed anything as far as I can tell. So we're just going to push a Bloodghast because we have to preserve our life total. I realize how bad this is in terms of it allowing them to return the Bloodghast and then get the Amalgams back, but we can just die to Creeping Chills otherwise. I really think it doesn't matter in most ways. But if we do manage to draw an untapped green land, we can potentially stabilize. But we don't do it, so I'm just going to scoop to this. Needed the green land here and now. Yeah, pretty rough. Pretty unlucky, I would say, for them to have such an explosive start after the multi-5, while we have a pretty reasonable 2-land keep in just, what, five draws, including the Spreading Seas. Cantrip, we never saw a third land. Well, that is unfortunate, my friends. It is unfortunate indeed. But let's see what we can do here. So we clearly don't have all that much to do, as mentioned in the deck tech. We're not that heavy on the graveyard stuff, the anti-graveyard technology. So it's a little difficult for me to rate counter magic here. I'm not used to playing with permission. Even on the play, Counter Squall seems a little bit loose. Maybe it's not. Maybe the permission's okay. especially on the play. Alright, so the only cards I for sure want are Extractions and Damnation. I think we're going to definitely play without the Seas. And Stubborn Denial, just as a Force Spike style effect, how does that compare to Counter Squall? I think it compares fairly well. Alright, Tracker, we can definitely cut one. And if we wanted to be really conservative with our siding, we would probably just keep it as is, do something like this. Obstinate Baloth, EE, Counter Squall, all those cards seem pretty bad against Dredge. I think on the play at least, like if we're not using Counter Squall now, we're not using it at all. So is it better to sub that in for like an Opt and an Abrupt Decay? Sure, we'll try Counter Squall. Alright, so, you know, obviously Permission against Dredge, not the very best, but when paired with some of our higher value stuff, you know, Goyf, Skoos, Surgical, Snap Surgical, lines like that, it might get us there. We'll see. This is definitely a matchup I did not wish to face, though, so we'll see what we can do here. And we've got a hand with a Skoos, so we're going to keep, but it's not the very best hand. If I was on a pre-ban deck with a lot more Grave Hate, maybe I would be inclined to mulligan this. But the opponent's going all the way down to 4, so, you know, maybe a lone Skoos without much other interaction is going to be enough. We can hope, right? We can hope. Alright, opponent will stay at 4. Alright, so plan here is pretty clearly to hope the opponent does not have any removal. If they've got removal, you know, it's gonna be a little sketchy, right? Gonna be a little sketchy if they do, but Alright, so we're kind of flooding out. It's a bit annoying, but at least we've got the Skoos and they haven't killed it yet. We're going to sequence that way so we can bluff 1 mana blue interaction, or like an Opt to grow the Goyf in response to some effect they have. You know, it's probably won't matter. It probably means they probably kind of need to either kill our Skoos or they'll lose, but we'll sequence that way because there's no real reason not to. And man, we're just flooding. Man, this is brutal. I would feel very badly if this game just slips away from us because we just flood out. But again, our position is fine as long as they don't draw any kind of removal, right? Holding up 3 Skoos activations is pretty good. If they do find some kind of a way to start trying to go off, we'll be able to certainly compete with it. Alright, well, this is the opponent on the discard to hand size plan. They're on the concede game plan. Okay, that was a bizarre game too, but we'll take it. You know, they mulled a 4. Who knows what's stuck in their hand, and we just get there with a 2-2 and a 1-2. Alright, well, we didn't really learn much about how good our sideboarding is going to be treating us for Game 3 from that. We just learned that Scooz is good, and the opponent mulling to Oblivion is good. Two things we already knew. So, on the draw, do we want to... I just don't see us having the luxury of holding up Counter Squall, like, ever on the draw, so I'm going to cut those. In terms of what's best to come in, I mean... Maybe we'll just bring back the Opt for Consistency, and then bring in an EE as a catch-up card. Even though EE is not the greatest, and especially in this matchup where we play a lot of the stuff along the same points in the curve, there still could be a fine window for it. I think I rate it more highly than Decay, so... Alright, well, hey, no one can say we didn't take a game off Dredge with a deck that is not geared for it, so hey, good times, good times. Doesn't that just kind of prove the, okay, this is a keep. We've got discard, surgical, push, 3 lands, it's a keep. Doesn't that just prove how good how necessary the looting and Hogak bans were? Dredge is still, like, putting up results and seeing a ton of play despite that. Isn't that pretty wild, pretty mind-blowing? Opponent's all the way down to 5 cards again. Feels alright to me. Steam Vents into Tome Scour, yes. Okay, so Narcomoeba. We're going to let that come back, and unfortunately they did hit 2 Dredgers, but... So we're not going to be able to fully stop them from curving out. Tarmogoyf is a good draw, but let's Inquisition, get more hand information. Another Life from the Loam. That is awkward. That would be so much better if this was a Stinkweed Imp. We have to take it. And I guess we kind of have to extract it. Yeah. So they get to Dredge with the Imp. Hopefully they brick, and then from there it could get interesting, but we don't really have any further ways to interact with their graveyards. So they have 2 Conflagrates in the 75, 1 Assassin's Trophy, 3 copies of Lightning Axe, only 2 Shriekhorns, maybe that's stock, maybe that's post-side, and a Ghost Quarter? Okay. Those are the kind of less common things to make note of. And now they've got us. Now they've got us. Do your worst. Golgari, Thug, and Bloodghast are 2 pretty good hits. Bloodghast gets them more value. Thug lets the Dredge train continue going. So, yeah, none of this is very good. And oh my goodness, the next Dredge is insane. Another Bloodghast and an Amalgam. Yeah, we just got kind of run over there. We will be able to play a big Tarmogoyf, but now we desperately need to draw like a Scooz off the top. Absolutely needs to happen stat. Another Goyf. You know, that's not really that bad. It's not really that bad. Goyf is a solid one. Solid one here. Okay. No attack with the Amalgam. We definitely have to assign blocks here. Just preserve our life total as much as possible, of course. They're going to get the Bloodghast back before we get a chance to untap. And they're going to hard cast a Narcomoeba. Alright. We draw another Goyf. Alright, we are officially racing with Goyfs. That is the big plan. It's really not a bad plan. It's really not. The only problem here is that they can assign a double block with Amalgam and Narcomoeba. And if they do that, then we get to push Narcomoeba, I guess. But that is so bad because then we don't get to play a Goyf because of this Creeping Tar Pit entering tapped. So we have two options. We can attack with the Goyf and hope they don't block at all or hope they don't double block. That's kind of the high risk, high reward play. Or we can just play a Goyf, play a Tar Pit, say go. That is the play that kind of plays into their hands because they have more inevitability. But I think it's just so bad if they double block that we have to do it anyway. But that was an interesting decision point. It's also unfortunate that the Goyf is no longer a 4-5 as it once was. Only a 3-4 cannot attack with impunity into that board. Okay, the race is well and truly on. We're blocking as much power as we can. We're down to 10. Opponent found a land, so obviously that's their best draw. It means they get their stuff back and they can cast that Stinkweed Imp in their hand. Yep, pretty poor stuff for us, my friends. Pretty tough stuff. We draw land. Yeah, could have used that last turn. Now it's a bit different. Now it is rather different. So if we can at least get Revolt to push the Imp. If we push the Imp, we attack for 8. Put them to 6. Then we play a Goyf, we block their Amalgam, we take 8. Plus we've taken 1 from fetching, we'll be at 1. I guess that is our play. And we're not going to cast Inquisition, so we can fetch a tapped land, we can push the Imp, we can play a Goyf. Alright. We're dead to a whole lot of things with this line, but we are definitely... I think this is our best line for sure. Just make sure our math is correct. So we're at 9. We leave this Goyf back to block Amalgam. We take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, okay. We have even more leeway. Yeah, let's attack. We're still dead to exactly 1 Creeping Chill plus their board, but again, they have the inevitability, so let's just go all in. We also have Creeping Tar Pit to attack next turn, so... Oh, they got a Creeping Chill, and they just never didn't have it. Well, you know, we identified it. I think we made the right plays here. They just got us. That's all right. That'll happen. So all the opponent has to do now is click Attack with All, and we're dead. That's pretty cute, too. They Ghost Quarter themselves to get another landfall trigger for Bloodghast. And they float mana, they cast a Stinkweed Imp. Yeah, good plays here from the opponent. However, if they didn't hit that chill, well, you know, they hit the Bloodghast anyway, right? As mentioned, there are a lot of hits they could have had, but... Yeah, if they didn't hit that chill, we'd be at 1, and they would probably have sequenced differently. And, you know, who knows? Maybe they would have left everything back, or maybe chipped in with a flyer or two, and so then it would be a question of whether Creeping Tar Pit can get in, but they had Ghost Quarter for the Tar Pit if they wanted it, so Creeping Chill was the card we really wanted to fade. I guess maybe Conflagrate, too. No, they didn't have that many cards in their hand. Yeah, it was literally Creeping Chill. So that's brutal, guys. That is brutal. Well, we almost got there just kind of racing with Tarmogoyfs. That would have been pretty cool. That was super close. It was a good game. And, yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunate round 1 loss here. So, You guys will have to let me know, Anthony or anyone else who's watching, how you would sideboard there. Maybe sideboard a little bit differently from me. I definitely didn't feel like what I did was indefensible or anything, but I was also not sure how to rate Counter Squall, how to rate some, Stubborn Denial, stuff like that. Interesting, though. Interesting game one. Interesting round one. And here we are for round two. Our opponent will keep, and we will as well. It's a functional hand. Double Tar Pit, double Catacombs is kind of awkward, especially because we need to fetch blue untapped early on, but not a reason to mulligan a hand or anything. Tarn Island Serum. You got it. And they go bottom, bottom. We draw Snap. All right. We'll say Catacombs go because we're going to either stub or opt this turn. I guess off of a breeding pool. Do we top another opt? I guess so. Yeah, I think that's fine. We draw Island. All right. So I don't really know what we're up against. It could be a variety of decks, and there could be a variety of incentives in play here, but they are representing Counter Magic and Remand, so I think I'm not going to play the Tarmogoyf. We're just going to say go. And the question then becomes, do we get a Tar Pit down or not? I think we will. They could be on Blood Moon as well. You really never know. Not a great deal. Like, there are ways we could have played around that, but that means playing around nothing else and achieving nothing else, basically. Opponent will cast a Snapcaster Mage. Yeah, you got it. Without the third land, but maybe they're slow rolling the third land. They are. All right. Are we going to stub this? I think so, because that's just a fine window to take an action like that, and we do have Snapcaster in hand, making that a little bit better in the future. So it's a little awkward, actually, that Tarmogoyf here dies to Lightning Bolt or Lightning Helix if we're just against, like, Jeskai control. So I don't know if I want to play it. It's a good window to resolve it insofar as them being tapped out and all that stuff, but again, I really don't want the Goyf to just die to Lightning Bolt in this particular situation. So we're going to say Polluted Delta, pass. Playing for the longer game, and of course, Snap Stub is live here if they this lets us like counter Jace the Mind Sculptor if they tap out for that. We can also just opt and take it from there, but all right. I think we're going to bottom Pulse. We should be able to take care of Pulse targets in this matchup using permission. Now do we want to Fatal Push this snap? It's very mana efficient to do so. They're probably not going to have many better targets, so sure, let's just go for it. Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is a fine draw. We'll begin with it. Felidar Guardian, so this is Jeskai Sahili. Remand, Bolt, Bolt. Well, I didn't have Sahili on my radar, so now I kind of regret pushing the snap. Taking away the Remand allows us to be proactive and play the Goyf, but that could be fatal if they just top deck the Sahili. That said, I think I'm going to do so anyway. And playing out that island first proved to be pretty poor sequencing here. I was, thinking about Mana Leak. But maybe I shouldn't have been. I don't know. That's a tough call. Yeah, I think playing around Mana Leak is actually fine. The other thing we can do now that we've done that is snap Thoughtseize, and I think I probably should, but let's attack first, see if they've got anything to say about it. And this time we will not be playing around Leak or Spell Pierce. We're just going to Thoughtseize and be good. We'll take the Guardian, leave them with a land, a couple bolts. We get to play another Tar Pit this way, and we are now kind of taxing their bolts pretty significantly. They, of course, would need to double bolt the Goyf to kill it. They also want to bolt Tar Pits and even Snapcaster now. We've got a clock coming from a few different angles. So our position is good. We're by no means guaranteed the win or anything, but our position's pretty good. But I don't know how many catch-up cards, like Cryptic Command, they're likely to play, so we will have to see. Opponent fetches for a mountain, interesting. What did they top deck? A Felidar, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. We draw Inquisition. I guess we should Inquisition now. Get the bolts out of their hand on our own terms. See where they decide to point them. They're going to double bolt the Goyf. That is probably the right play. Creeping Tar Pit cannot be blocked. You gotta love it. This land is great. This land is so good. Definitely a big attraction to be on blue-black, interactive deck. Ooh, opponent's got a Colonnade. That's actually kind of scary as a clock, but we should still be able to outrace it. Guess we're going to leave that fetch land uncracked in case we draw Fatal Push or Tireless Tracker. We draw Spreading Seas. Yeah, we'll seize the Colonnade. Gets us a redraw. Means we do have to fetch to activate a Tar Pit, but that's well worth it. And now we have an Opt, huh? Now we're fetching twice to activate Tar Pit. But let's do it. And we draw a Hex Drinker. Okay. I guess we're just supposed to play that. And conveniently, we can put it to level 3. So our position is great, unless, of course, they top deck their combo. Oh, no, they did, didn't they? They did! Guys, what's going on? This is so insane. Oh my god. Yep, okay. So for those who don't know, here's the combo in action. Saheeli copies Felidar Guardian. The Felidar Guardian copy resets Saheeli, basically, and they do it infinitely. They make an infinite number of 1/4s. Wow. How unlucky can you get? How unlucky can you get? Well, this'll happen sometimes, I guess. So, how do we side against Jeskai Saheeli? I guess we want Counter Squall for sure. I don't think we want EE. They're controlling enough that I'm pretty interested in Last Hope. And Surgical is a big maybe. It's a big maybe because they're a combo deck, but they're also a value deck. So, and Spreading Seas, difficult one to rate. Seas is going to be kind of the make weight, whether we need to bring more things in and therefore need to cut the Seas or vice versa. I think that's going to be the role of Seas in this deck more often than not. So we might not have that much to side out, therefore we might be moving off of Seas. Maybe the opponent will play around it a little bit, or to our advantage, you know, rather like the Blood Moon effect. Honestly, I don't see much that we want to side out, because we want to be able to grind, we want to be able to interact on the stack, and we want threats, and we still kind of need our kill spells for the combo. So, honestly, we're probably not supposed to cut much. Let's cut the Seas. Let's bring in these 3, and even doing that, we're 1 card over, huh? I think we're supposed to keep all of our permission, all of our everything. I mean, maybe we could cut a Scooz, but we haven't gotten any more threat dense post side. I kind of don't want to lose out on a threat. I think I'm just going to trim and opt and call it good. Anthony did say that Spreading Seas and Opt, I believe, are cantrips in general. Maybe cantrips and Permission were the cards most likely to be trimmed post-side in his experience. All right. We'll keep, and our hand's good. Open up on the Thoughtseize, and the opponent has a 2-lander with 2 Guardians, 2 Remands, and a Vendilion Click. Alright, well. No point in taking the Guardians. I don't think. Vendilion Click is the least redundant piece of their hand. It's actually potentially an issue as well. We can play around the Remands reasonably well simply by virtue of being on the play. If they ever find removal for Goyf that they can back up with Remand, that'll be tough. But I think I'm going to take the click here. And plan to be able to get in the driver's seat by getting a Goyf in under the remand. We draw an Inquisition too, that's pretty decent. But it's Goyf time. Oh, the opponent's on Spreading Seas too, no way. Maybe the card really is spectacularly well positioned. Who knew? Who knew? Interestingly, we can hold up Counter Squall if we just pass, but I think now's a good time for an Inquisition. We're likely to grow the Goyf this way, and if not, we can just take a remand, and they just have more remands. That's actually a little scary, but we did grow the Goyf. The opponent also hit a third land, which is good for them. Alright, so can Goyf backed up by Counter Squall go all the way? Interesting. We hit a fourth land. I think I'm going to attack with Quagmire, get another couple points of damage across here. Oh, no, I'm not, because we don't have another green source. Fair enough. Fair enough, OP, fair enough. So we're holding up Counter Squall and either Trophy or Push here, which is not a bad place to be in. We don't have Revolt for Push, which is pretty awkward, but... Opponent's curving out well. They were drawing more remands. They're hitting their third and fourth land that they didn't have. Definitely curving out well. But they're just passing. Alright, another Counter Squall, sure. We can actually cast 2 Counter Squalls on one turn. Pretty cool. Alright, Goyf, can you go all the way? It really might. It really might. Yeah, this is sweet. Tarmogoyf OP. As we knew. As we've already known. But worth remembering. Alright, looks like they might just be playing a Guardian for, you know, blocking duty, basically. They get to untap something, but I think we should assume they're not on path. Oh. Yeah, now they get to not even cast, just reuse the Spreading Seas. Okay, fair enough. So my big question is do we trophy the Guardian? I think I'm going to. We do have another form of removal if we can ever manage Revolt, and of course double Counter Squall is other good interaction. I think we just want to be mana efficient and try to end the game as quickly as possible. Both of which are achieved by that play, but if they found a path to exile, that would be extremely rough. But if they found a path, they would not have sequenced in the way that they did. Alright. So we're just going to say go here, even though Opt could find us some more sorcery speed action. I'd rather hold up all this stuff, including Opt. Opponent's got a full grip, but can they answer the Goyf? Monastery Mentor. Yikes. I'll opt in response. Tracker. What do we do with Tracker? I don't mind. I mean, Tracker can help outgrind the Mentor, I guess, but I think we're going to bottom it looking for... Like a land to activate Revolt or a way to just close out the game like Collective Brutality. You draw Inquisition. Okay. Alright. We're going to counter squall the Serum Visions. And that'll do it. Counter Squall is another way to close out this game. We just needed a target for it. Okay, sweet. Well, that was a little bit unorthodox. Hey, you know what, guys? This league has been really cool already. Even though our results have been middling, we've seen some crazy top decks from the opponent. We've seen some really unorthodox wins from our deck. I like it. I like it a lot. So, not particularly missing anything out of the sideboard, except maybe that Opt, based on what we saw. But again, Opt is kind of just something that's more or less free to trim relative to threats and interaction and answers. So we're going to go ahead and run it back. What an interesting... I mean, the opponent probably never thought they were going to lose to a Counter Squall there, so... well done, Counter Squall. That was pretty spicy. Pretty nice hand. It's a little clunky because Hex Drinker and Snapcaster are functionally higher CMC than they appear to be, but we'll keep it. Definitely want to hit a land drop or two along the way here. There's one right away, Creeping Tar Pit. Sweet. Turn 1 Thoughtseize yet again. Opponent's got a Seize and 2 Felidar Guardians. I guess we're just taking the Seize, huh? Guess we're just taking the Seize. The Spreading Seize Mirror. I haven't even seen this card in a long time, again, outside of Merfolk decks, as I mentioned in the deck tech. And we got 2, like, 3-color value-oriented decks running it. I love it. It's so cool. Cool stuff. Another land, sure. I guess it is simply Tarmogoyf time. Let's hope they didn't draw a Remand. That would be pretty disastrous if they did. And they did not. Beautiful. Alright, so Goyf going all the way on its own, with an assist from Counter Squall, admittedly. A little less likely on the play than the draw, but it could definitely still happen. Opponent with the EE on 2. Well, we can trophy that to save our Goyf and also to grow it. But then we are just cold to the combo. But I kind of think we're supposed to... Well, we're not cold to the combo, actually, because we can snap trophy. Alright, so I think we're going to do that, and I think that, therefore, we then play Hex Drinker first, so... Just plays better around whatever else they could have. Not giving them the land first from trophy is the point. Oops, yeah, I should have waited till blockers here just in case. Or do we actually know their hand? I don't remember if I tracked that Scalding Tarn accurately. At most, they have one unknown in hand. Alright, either way, it doesn't matter. 5-6 Goyf. Pretty good, pretty good. So the opponent, unless they drew something better, is going to go Felidar Guardian pass here, and then it's going to be interesting to say whether we should hold up Snap Trophy or whether we should put mana into Hex Drinker. I think we're probably supposed to hold up Snap Trophy, but that means Hex Drinker just isn't doing anything. We draw another Goyf, huh? Yeah, and we can't play the Tar Pit either. But I think we just have to not die to the combo. I think we're holding up Snap Trophy for the rest of the game, unfortunately. They play Island. Playing another Guardian, sure. Okay, one unknown in hand. Maybe two. Again, I don't remember if that Tarn is actually there or not. Alright, so this is an interesting spot. So if we snap Trophy of Felidar Guardian, the opponent then has to chump the Goyf with the other Guardian to stay alive. Assuming this resolves, but either way they didn't go for the combo this turn, so I think we're supposed to go for the kill. Might as well have another blue source around. Because now, even if we just use Hex as a Savannah Lions, the opponent is forced to chump block the Goyf, unless they have removal in hand. But we drew Inquisition, so we can check that out. Sweet. Oh, they got a snap of their own. With no target. How interesting. Okay. Well, now... So if the opponent uses Snapcaster Mage as a chump blocker, they still have to chump with Felidar Guardian? No, they don't, because they'll be at exactly... that's rough. Alright, just making sure I've got the math right here. So the opponent chumps Goyf with Snap. Yeah, there's no reason they would block with Felidar Guardian, no matter how we attack and no matter how we sequence. So... in that case, we might as well attack with only one Goyf. And then, I think the better sequencing is going to be to sink the mana into Hex Drinker so we can make it unblockable. This plays around Engineered Explosives better, and we do know that's in the deck. So, rather than play another Tarmogoyf. Like, obviously, we're dead to them top-decking the combo yet again. Serum Visions was their top deck. That's pretty good. But because it's not preordained, not as good as it could be in this spot. They go one bottom, one top. And they'll pass. Well, we draw Collective Brutality. Okay. So let's just attack. No matter what they have or how they block, Brutality should be a good finisher here. Even finishing off the Guardian if we need it to. If it like blocks Snapcaster, if they somehow have the ability to stay alive while eating the snap with their Guardian. Okay, so they had to block like this. And now we get to kill them with Collective Brutality, unless they have permission, but even if they do, they don't have a combo piece on the field anymore, so we shouldn't be in danger of losing. Oh no, I hit the wrong mode, are you kidding me? Oh no. I misclicked because I was just talking. You've got to be kidding. Well, again, we can't lose. That was just a horrifying misclick, though. I don't think we can lose. Yeah, they've got Lightning Bolt. Yeah, this was supposed to be drain you for 2. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing, and that would be lethal. The hazards of commentating while playing, my friends, but again, what can they have that kills us here? I don't think anything. But you never know. The game should be over. Obviously, we have them with the drain for 2. They've got Snap. I guess they're priced into the Serum, yeah. That was just ridiculous. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And they kill themselves in style by activating Flooded Strand. Oh my goodness. That was funny. GG, well played. Yeah, clearly... You know, it's funny, Collective Brutality, I don't think I've ever misclicked with it before, because usually you're so careful about what modes you select, you spend a while thinking about how to escalate it. But I was like, hey, we just top-decked lethal, and then it just clicked the wrong part of it. Yikes, but we got there. We got there. We're 1-1. Having fun. I hope you guys are too, and we have another pretty good-looking hand. We'll keep... I should also mention, I have barely played this deck. It is, I've taken it for a few spins through the tournament practice lobby for, you know, half dozen matches at the most maybe, and that's about it. So, definitely learning as I go to some degree. And we draw a trophy. I don't know what Wooded Foothills Pass means, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find out. Inquisition U. It's a BGX Myriad is Jund. Jund has taken a mulligan. Their hand is Trophy, Goyf, Ren, and 6. And with Peatland and some fetch lands, they've got all the Ren value. Pretty sure we're priced into taking the Ren. And that's what we'll do. We don't really have a great answer to Goyf. We can Trophy it. That's not ideal, early especially, but definitely don't want to give them the Ren value. Let them unmulligan themselves. If we were on the play, it would be very different, because then we could stub the Wren, and that would feel awesome. But Goyf it is. I'm not exactly sure how many hits from the Goyf we're supposed to take before we do anything about it. They have Inquisition. Alright. I think that actually makes us want to trophy the Goyf. It's our only removal. Our hand is super redundant otherwise. And we can always, you know, again, ramping them is not great at all here, but okay, man, check it out. Man or woman, check it out. We've got Double Snap, Opt and Stub. So the Stub's not very good now that we've ramped them and now that they know about it. But yeah, Snapcaster is the take that makes the most sense. Alright, we draw a Hex Drinker. Pretty sure we'll want to slow roll that. So do we opt main phase? I think that's actually fine here. We could get rewarded for it. I'm going to top that 4th land. I should have played the Watery Grave, actually. But either way, we're playing it tapped. The opponent knows about Stub. They're not going to walk into it. So we don't need to shock in to hold anything up. Should have played the Watery Grave to conceal info, though. But either way, the idea here, of course, is that we play Hex Drinker next turn, level it up immediately, and then they kind of have to find Liliana. This time we'll conceal info. And not just Liliana. There are other outs, of course, but a lot of them are... They kind of need to be in hand now or need to be used now. Alright, so here comes the trophy. Ooh, or what do they have? Is it a Kolagan's? People made fun of me. Yes, it is. Okay. Yikes, they buy back the Goyf. That's brutal. Okay, you know, maybe Snap Inquisition was the play. Maybe Snap Inquisition was the better play there. Okay, so the opponent has caught back up a bit. Poof. And we're just drawing more lands. Not good. Not good at all. Gonna run out Catacombs, actually, because this allows us to hold up Stub as well as Snap Trophy. Bloodbraid Elf. Sure. Guess we just let this happen. Stubborn Denial is low value, but there's no reason to protect it that heavily, right? So we're just going to float. Then we're going to trophy this Goyf. I think I'm going to take this trade. This works to their advantage if they have some more recursion main deck, but I think that's rather unlikely, and I think they're more of the aggressor here, so I'm pretty happy to take a trade. I think I'm also supposed to leave that fetch land uncracked, just in case we do that, just in case we top deck the Tireless Tracker. What a beautiful top deck that was. That was so, so good. Only fetchable left, at least with that fetch land. And we're not holding up stub, but that is okay. That is okay. That is a very minor detail compared to just finding the tracker. That was sweet. They're in a pulse. Sure. Another Goyf. Alright, we find a Goyf of our own and a Hex Drinker, and they just spent a Pulse, so I think we're supposed to play Hexy here. It's a good find, it's a good find. How many levels do we want to put on this thing? Obviously at least 3. Yeah, I think 3 is sufficient. 3 and then we play a Goyf of our own seems good. Then they get the stub out of our hand, which is okay, so I am glad we played the Goyf there. They're going to trophy the Goyf. Let's hope their last card is not Liliana, which it doesn't seem like it would be. They don't have the land to play right now anyway. And they've just kind of got no choice but to race us, which could still go their way, but not if we draw a Fatal Push. That is a nice one. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Let's leveling this bad boy up. And we've got to fade the Lily. We've got the push for the Goyf. Our position is wonderful. And we are just going to push it here. We don't want to get cheesed out by bolts. Definitely don't want to take another hit. I got another Goyf, sure. We get a Scooze. Cool. Alright, so we have 3 total green sources. So if we play the Scooze using green, black, we can also crack a clue freely without going down on green sources. I think we therefore should. Another Goyf. I don't know if we're supposed to play that. We'll definitely play the Scooze. Yeah, we'll play the Goyf as well, actually. This is just as good of a way to not get cheesed out by a burn. You know, blocking their Goyf. Either way, we've got lethal. We're very insulated from almost anything they could have game 1, and we got there. All right, guys, we beat Jun game 1. That feels great. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Now, how to rate various things. Let's just figure out what's good first. For sure, Baloth and EE are good. Spreading Seas would have been good before Renin 6. Now I don't know whether I should have it or not. No Extraction. Lily the Last Hope and Damnation. So we've got a lot of stuff to do. We'll consider Counter Squall. We'll consider Seas. But again, Seize, I guess, is the make weight going one way or the other. I also don't know. I don't think I should be trimming a land like I often do on other mid-range decks. We're already only on 22, so probably not. But we're going to cut Stub. We're going to put Seize over here for consideration. So lately on the Rock, I've been leaving more discard in against Jund, because a lot of their 2-for-1s are harder to beat. I don't know if that still applies here or not. The Inquisition taking away their Ren was huge there in Game 1. But we're considering moving away from cards like this. These 6 cards have to come in no matter what we do. We've already taken out the Stubs, so we're at 63. The big question is really overspreading Seize. Maybe we're just going to play without it on the draw. I like that. We're on the draw, we won't play with the Seize, and we won't mess with that. If we're on the play, depending on how this game goes, if they take us to 3, maybe we bring it back. So with no Seize, let's play Counter Squall. I think that card is pretty decent here. And I think we're just going to cut, like, Brutalities. Maybe even leave 1 Brutality in. Just cut, like, 2 Inquisitions. I think that's pretty reasonable siding. And then once more, if there is a Game 3, well, then maybe we lean more on Seize and lean less on discard effects. Kind of like it. Because Seize can even stop them. It'll stop them from casting Ren and 6 on turn 2, even if they have them, right? So, opponent will keep 7. So will we. Our hand is good. It's a good hand. We'll keep it. Inquisition you, my friend. Probably taking Ren and 6 again if they have it, and they do, and we will. For sure we will. Yep. Another well-timed discard spell. Let's hope they don't ever draw another one in this entire match. That's the hope. That's the hope and the plan. Scooz is going to be an issue. It's going to be annoying at least, but we do have a kill spell for it in the form of Pulse. And the rest of their hand is just kind of reactive 1-for-1s. It's all good stuff, but we're pretty well positioned against it, I think. We draw a Hex Drinker. Once more, we would be pretty well advised to slow roll that, I guess. We can also use our Snap to flash in and trade with the Ooze if we want. So even though there's a decent chance we end up kind of doing nothing this turn, maybe Snap trade with Ooze is okay. We'll see what the opponent does, of course. They could always just have ripped a Liliana. They ripped another Ren. Yeah, that's pretty annoying. And they can protect it with Fatal Push, too. So now we are going to try to trade with the Scooz. They can always push our Snap before that happens, and I guess that's alright if they do. They will. Alright. So now we can untap, we can pulse the Scooz, or just let the Scooz do its thing and pulse the Ren. Or we can play a Scooz of our own. What did they return with Ren? A Verdant Catacomb, so they're just going to keep basically drawing cards if we let them have the Ren. Not gonna lie though, it is pretty nice to eat the snap out from under them, but I think we're just gonna play for the long game here. We can even kind of like bait out a decay with Hexdrinker, then buy it back with Lily at some point. But we don't want to let them get the Ren train just going with, ooh, Lily of the Veil, that's very good. Really don't want to lose any of these cards. I guess we're pitching a land. Yeah, that's such a good draw for the opponent. Holy moly. We draw Opt. Not very good. I guess we had kind of pressed into playing the Lily the Last Hope this turn. Then they're going to decay her, take the Lily the Veil up. Then we can maybe present 2 threats, one of which can survive and take over the game. But none of this is great, is it? I think we're just shrinking the ooze to force them to spend a spell on our Last Hope, hopefully. They can blow out our minus by responding with a fetch land and eating the Snapcaster, and then we have to hope to blindly mill a creature, which is unlikely in our relatively low threat count deck. So kind of like that play, but them ripping the Veil was brutal. So they found Raging Ravine. Here comes Abrupt Decay. And we'll pitch our Opt. Alright, so the opponent's definitely ahead. Counter Squall, awkwardly timed. Alright, we play 2 things. And it's still pretty unlikely to be good enough here, but I think this is our best line at this point. These mid-range mirrors are going to be a little tough since the opponents have Lilianas and we do not. They're going to be tough in that sense, at least. We have other tools as well. Of course, Snapcaster Mage is a pretty good one. Here we are priced into trading them off early. Yeah, they rip a Tarmogoyf, okay. And they're ticking up. Interesting. Well, I guess getting to alt range makes sense now that you have the Goyf to sit behind. We draw a Goyf of our own. Once more, we're just behind them. We're just too far behind them. Yeah, we don't have good attacks, so we're just going to play out our stuff. Put a level on Hexy and see what piles they make with the Liliana alts and try to somehow recover from there. Or maybe they just start, if they rip Morghast, maybe they have the luxury to just Edict with her and keep her around and sit behind their big board. I don't know. Opponent appears to be reluctant to crack the Peatland, maybe because they want the 5th land to activate Ravine. If they plan to alt, cracking the Peatland is good, but again, Ravine is a concern, so fair enough. Alright, well, think we have to kind of keep Hexdrinker, don't we? Can't very well operate on no lands either. And they've got a trophy. Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. Got kind of crushed by them, but it was a close game. Liliana, of course, was the major mirror breaker there. They had good gas even without her too, but yeah, she was the one we couldn't beat. So pretty rough, but that is all right. Let's bring back our spreading seas. Let's give it a shot. Anyway, I think it's fine. I think it's good, despite W6. So let's cut a brutality. Do we just move almost entirely away from discard, or do we leave like 2 discard in and cut an opt? I kind of like the sound of that. We'll leave in both thought seizes. We'll cut an opt, and we'll submit. Well, we're seeing a lot of close run series here, my friends. Definitely seeing some close games, and definitely seeing some interesting lines here. I hope I'm not... I feel like my play has been pretty smooth, besides the brutality misclick, but I could very well be missing some lines as well. You'll have to let me know, as always. This hand's fine. It's not very exciting. We don't have the C's. But I think we're supposed to keep it, and I think we're supposed to run out the Hex Drinker right away. And, like, force them to have a turn 2 run in 6, because our hand is just too slow. And the opponent will mulligan. Beautiful. Beautiful. Them taking a mulligan is huge. We didn't want a mulligan. That's why we keep this, right? But it's just kind of mono threats. It's not very good. But we got that early Savannah Lions pressure. And we're going to play Scoos on turn 2, so even if the opponent has a turn 2, never mind. They just bolt it, sure. I was going to say, even if they play their run and 6 on turn 2, then they have to take down, we can finish it off with Scoos, right? They're going to they have Extraction in against us? Post side? Okay. They just mulliganed even harder, basically. They get the other Hex Drinker out of our deck, and they get to see our hand. Unfortunately, we are flooding like crazy. I say flooding like crazy. We've only had one draw step, and it's been a land. Flooded like crazy, right? So our position would be good if we had more gas in hand, because we don't. Who knows how good it actually is, but I'm going to Faction Shock at least one time. To get more green sources for this guy. I have to say, I believe Extraction to be very loose in this matchup. But to be fair, we are on Snapcaster Mage. You know, there are use cases for it. We draw a trophy. Yeah, all right. Really wish we had a creature land to pressure, like if they have a Liliana here. They sure do. They sure do. I guess we're going to eat away at their graveyard. Probably doesn't matter much. Kind of 6-1, half dozen of the other, but we're not going to trophy that Lily. We don't want to give them green mana. So I think we're just going to cast Baloth. But man, the Liliana's annoying. We draw a Goyf of our own right after we shrink the graveyard. That is a bit unfortunate, but I think we're supposed to play it. That way they can't really tick up their Liliana without giving us the free Obstinate Baloth. So sure, pretty good draw. Okay, so they do have the 4th land. They do have green, and this appears to be a good old Bloodbraid Elf. It is Renin 6, okay. They're going to Brutality the Goyf. What am I missing? Oh, they're going to ping it with Ren? Okay, well. In response, we will Trophy the Ren. Feels good, man. Feels good. Alright, opponent is unable to tick up with Lily. We draw Spreading Seas. So what are we supposed to do here? Big part of me wants to play the Bailoff to get this game over with ASAP. Big part of me wants, of course, to simply cast the Seas and see what we hit and hold on to the Bailoff, continue making their Liliana bad. I don't know what's better, but we are far enough ahead that Damnation might be one of their better outs, so maybe we are supposed to play the Spreading Seas, see what we can see. Take them a little bit off of green anyway. Hey, maybe we hit another Seas and we take them off of green all the way. That'd be kind of cool. We hit an Abrupt Decay, sure. I'm definitely just attacking the opponent here. Opponent will scoop. Beautiful. Beautiful. The power of Obstinate Bailoff against a Liliana of the Veil. And the power of the opponent mulling and having a Surgical in the deck that whiffed. And also, I don't think it's... I'm not going to say it's a bad play at all for them to have Brutality'd Argoyf or attempted to, because that's kind of the combination of effects they had to kill it. They shrink it and then they ping it. But we had the trophy to blow them out too, so we had a lot of blowouts there in Game 3. That was nice. That was real nice. So good games, well played to the opponent, and check it out, Anthony. We are positive, and you know what? We would be 3-0 if the opponent didn't dredge so well in Game 3. If they didn't hit multiple dredge cards off of their one Tome Scour, and then continue dredging well off of each dredge effect that we didn't manage to interact with. So the matches have been interesting. The league is a pretty good success so far, considering my unfamiliarity with the deck and all that. And our opening hands continue to be good. We've had a lot of really good functional opening hands. Lord Tywin of House Lannister wishes us good luck, have fun. Very out of character. But we'll reply in kind. But alright. Tywin's on the play, gonna keep, so will we. Yeah, our opening hands have been really nice. Nothing crazy, nothing perfect, just good functional hands. I did have a lot of clunky hands, a lot of non-functional mulligan hands in my few tournament practice lobby games. Definitely just getting unlucky there overall, but feels good to be out of the woods, and insofar as that is concerned. We do seem to see double creeping Tar Pit a lot. We see either 2 or none, right? So that's a little awkward, but... And against a Hallowed Fountain deck, Tar Pit should be good, and we're against blue-white Stoneforge Mystic. It's not even blue-white control, it's blue-white Stoneforge, huh? So we just kind of have to take SFM, I guess. Our hand is not very good against Teferi, but I think SFM is a bigger problem, and our hand's not good against that either, so maybe we'll draw like a Stubborn Denial next turn to counter something to counter the Teferi. So we see our first Stoneforge Mystic of the afternoon, and okay, so we draw Opt. This is definitely an interesting spot. We could obviously run out the Skoos. It doesn't feel great. They're just going to bounce it with Teferi. I think I'm going to play Island here. Like, I want to confirm to them that I'm a blue deck and maybe make them a little gun-shy about running out the Teferi. So we're going to say Island pass. Of course, all we're holding up is Opt, but you know, we don't have like a great spreading seas target. Like, yeah, again, our hand is just not that good against blue-white control in the early turns. We do have the inevitability of Tar Pit, and the opponent is Jeskai, so I'm kind of glad I held the seas. Might make their life awkward if we're able to seize them off of red. So Jeskai Stoneblade is the opponent, huh? Looks like we scared them off of playing the Teferi. That is pretty cool. Fatal Push will bottom, right? Yeah, like it's tough to say. Fatal Push is pretty bad against most of their deck besides Stoneforge. We'll bottom it. We draw Thoughtseize. Okay, so our sequencing has been rewarded because now we get to Thoughtseize away Teferi if they have nothing better in their hand. Play out of land first to play around Spell Pierce. And because we're definitely casting a 2-mana spell after this, no matter what happens, I think they're going to hard cast Force of Negation. Yeah, that's annoying. Alright. So Teferi can bounce Spreading Seas, but that's kind of good for us if he does. So I guess we're going to seize something. I just don't think playing the Skoos does much here. Alright, another land isn't very good, but if the opponent taps out here, we'll hope to draw a Tireless Tracker. If they don't tap out here, who knows? Yep, sure enough, there's Teferi. So now we're only casting things at sorcery speed while he is around. It's too bad we didn't have a great window to get a Creeping Tar Pit down, but I just don't think we've had that luxury. Really at any point this game. Goyf. Would we rather play Skoos or Goyf? I think we're going to play Skoos because it pressures Teferi just as well, and we'd rather have the Goyf left over. They could have a Spell Snare here as well. If they don't. Tar Pit is nice. Tar Pit will be nice here. They do have a Field of Ruin, unfortunately, but we've got 2 Tar Pits in hand. They've only got 1 field. Alright, well these matchups are really putting me to the test. We're against a lot of decks where we have to interact or where both decks are interacting. Definitely putting me to the test on my first run out, but I already forgot about the Teferi passive, so we cannot opt. Fair enough. Fair enough. Alright, so Tar Pit is clearly not getting through this turn anyway, so just try to attack with the Ooze first. Opponent just have like a Helix here or something, or are they fetching before they field and then path? I don't know what's going on here. Helix, sure. So with the rest of our turn, we probably need all of our mana, so I'm just not going to eat anything out of the yard. Begin with an opt. Bottom of land. Snapcaster Mage. I actually kind of like Snap Thoughtseize here. It's possible that it will whiff if they have 2 lands and a path in hand. Or they just will Spell Snare it. Fair. Yeah, that's brutal, actually. That is rough. Them having Spell Snare, rough. And we know they have Path for the Goyf. But I guess we're going to play it anyway, try to kind of overload their effects between 2 Tar Pits and 1 Goyf. It's possible that I should have seized the field earlier as well, but... oh man, them having Spell Snare was really bad there. That's the first point at which I'm like, ooh, in this match. Like, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if we're in such a good spot anymore. Oh, we draw Inquisition as well, which really punishes us for running out the Goyf last turn. But... they're definitely just going to path it in response if we Inquisition, so let's attack. We're out of basics. And I think Inquisition right now is also likely to whiff, so we'll opt instead, looking for more action. Getting some good value out of these ops, bottoming lands, but still finding just more, huh? Alright, well, now we are kind of all in on our Tar Pits. So I think now, even though Inquisition could whiff, I'm going to cast it in case they have another path in hand, basically. Or like a Snapcaster that we can get out on our own terms. Vendilion Click. Oh my god, their curve out. Their curve out's been great. Ours has not been so great. Click can't do anything here, not that it would probably want to. Hey, we get a Spell Snare. So they just had all kinds of stuff still in hand. Alright, well... you know, the Tar Pits are still an issue for them, but now they could feasibly win the race, because we're priced probably into attacking Teferi, and they're clocking us just as fast with the click, and they, of course, fueled our first activated Tar Pit. But they drew a land, so we could draw, like, Tracker for turn, or we could draw Trophy. Yeah, I'm just going to Trophy the Teferi. We do lose the race this way if nothing else changes, but I think we have to assume things will change. And maybe we don't even lose the race if we just can animate. Now we can't animate 2 Tar Pits because 1 will die to field. But I still think we kind of have to Trophy this Teferi before he draws again. it's tar pit time, and it's gonna get fielded, and we got nothing to search for. So feels bad, and of course a couple burn spells and a couple hits from the click, and we are dead. We're gonna sandbag the shores just in case we draw Tracker or Brutality, both of which kind of want the fuel at this point. Oh my goodness, opponent top deck Sword of Fire and Ice. That is savage. Yeah, we're pretty much dead now. Well, this is my first time seeing Sword of Fire and Ice connect in Modern, so it's impressive. We definitely need... Alright, Inquisition. We'll cast it because they're mostly tapped out. It could hit, but we are just dead. Alright. Just for more info. There we go. Okay, absolutely destroyed by that top deck of Sword and Fire and Ice. Opponent's progression was just awesome. You know, they just kind of never stopped having the right answers at the right time. So that was a little rough, but hey, we've had some rough games here, and we've come out ahead on 2 of the 3 matches. Let's try to make it 3 of 4. So against Stoneblade, do we want EE? I'm thinking maybe. They've got Stoneforge, they've got Swords, they've got Vendilion Click, they've got Teferi, they've got a lot of targets on 3. Yeah, maybe we want EE. Counter Squall, yes. Oof is a cheeky way to get around the artifacts, but I don't know if it's good enough against like a Bolt and Helix deck. Well, I guess we'll put it in the maybe category with EE for now, but it is also a non-bow with our own EE and Tracker, 2 of the cards we might lean more heavily on. Yes to the Last Hope, and I think we're just going to say no to Spreading Seas in this matchup. I don't think Hurkyl's Recall is good enough against Stoneblade decks that don't have any other artifact synergies going on. Whereas Collector Roof at least is like a body, it's a bear, right? It's not a tempo play. So, alright. What do we not like? Well, we mentioned no seas, and I guess we're sticking with that. Definitely better on the play, but once more, we might be in a position where we don't have that much that we want to side out. I could see cutting a Scooze, but we're kind of priced into leaving in pushes. I guess Stubborn Denial is pretty good here. Yeah, there's not much that I really don't like the look of. So if we do that, then we're just kind of super conservative sideboarding, double Counter Squall, 1 Liliana are our 2 best. I think we're certainly not playing Oof at this rate. Do we want to play any number of EE over any number of something else? Why don't we play a single EE over a single Opt? 2 EE might be a little clunky, but I think that's a pretty free change, and everything else in our deck looks pretty good. So let's do it. All right. Take the play. And for the first time this league, I think we do have to take them all. This is just not a keepable one-lander. We don't have the payoffs here. To make the risk worthwhile, a lot of high curve stuff with double snap and Tracker, so we will mulligan. Hey, baby. My daughter's just got home, just saying a quick hi. Okay, opponent will mulligan. That's good. The bad news is that we are just kind of like, do we go to 5? This hand is pretty good if we draw a second land and if it's blue. But I don't know. I'd be more inclined to keep this on the draw. I think I'm going to go to 5. All right. Well, this is a very clunky 5. But we're going to keep it. And I think we have to bottom a Snapcaster because we don't have blue mana, despite mulling twice. And we'll bottom a Tracker. Just keep our hand as diverse as possible, I guess. I'm not optimistic here, my friends. I think we might have mulliganed a little bit too hard for our own good. But opponent's got a weak one too, but if they just hit lands, it's going to turn into a good one, and they probably will with those opts. Just take a snap play for the long game and hope the opponent just doesn't get their wheels turning and we can somehow like curve out with a tracker. All right, I mean, we're making the land drops. If we hit our 4th land drop and the opponent doesn't have permission, then tracker could unmulligan us enough to give us a fighting chance. But yeah, as mentioned, not optimistic here. Alright, opponent went bottom with that opt. And if they opt again main phase, it will be a good signal that they haven't found another land yet. They, of course, can always play the mountain, but they might prefer to play other lands. But instead, they're just going to say go. Alright, Stubborn Denial is an okay draw. Like, we can just counter something on curve if they have, like, a Teferi next turn, I guess. But we really need to see the 4th land. We need to see the 4th land next turn. We need them to tap out this turn for Teferi, we stub it, then we untap, we draw a fetch land, and we're in business. That's what we need to happen. Kind of a lot to ask, but we'll see how it goes. Field of Ruin. Well, it's going to not be a Teferi this turn. That much is clear. Alright, if we hit the 4th land, we're just going to try to jam the tracker, hope she resolves. And we do. Let's do it. Please resolve. Please resolve. Alright. It's not a fetch land, but it will do. It's kind of awkward to have one of our more borderline cards in the hand here after such a heavy mulligan, but hey, we curved out with the tracker. It's what we wanted to do, and she resolved, so I'm not going to say no. You know, it would be great if the opponent fielded us here for some reason. Like, yes, we'd be out of basics. It was also really bad that two... Wow, they did feel us? Really? Why? I mean, yes, you're taxing our basics, but another clue? Okay. Yeah, I mean, maybe they're just really going on the land denial plan. Maybe they have another field in hand. Maybe they have path. I don't know. But giving us another clue seems really... seems good to me. Let's just put it that way. They got SFM, sure. Annoying. Fails to find an equipment? What is happening, my friends? What is going on? Alright, I mean, the opponent, they didn't make a 4th land drop. They didn't kill the tracker. They failed to find an equipment. They fielded us. That went a lot better than I expected it would. So let's try to hit another land with these top 2 cards to keep the tracker train rolling. We hit Inquisition. That's decent. And Stubborn Denial. Alright, we're going to crack a clue. The floor here is Inquisition and a stub, but let's just find another land. Keep the value going, please. Oh, it's a fetch land. Beautiful. Alright, we'll shock in here. Seems fine. And we'll Inquisition the opponent. This went better than we had any right to expect. Okay, both of their equipment are in hand. I see. So they just played it because they had nothing better to do. And they have Snap, Snap, Spell Snare. We don't care about Spell Snare at the moment. So we're just going to take Snap. And we're going to attack but not crack a clue because we're just going to stubborn denial the hard cast Sword of Fire and Ice if that's their play. If not, we can clue on the end of their turn. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, not a misplay from the opponent, just, I guess, the best play they had available. Pretty unlucky for them to have drawn both pieces of equipment in the deck, or rather like it's been unlucky for us to draw all of our basics. Featuring, of course, Onslaught basics, as always, on this channel, as we do. Okay, opponent's just holding up Snap Opt or Snap Spell Snare, so we'll crack a clue. And we draw another Inquisition. It's pretty good. So if we crack a clue now, we can then still Inquisition backed up by Counter Squall or Stub. So let's do that, trying to find a land. We found a land. Do we need to shock this one in? We don't need to, but I think it's pretty free to, so let's. And then we'll Inquisition you. Alright, so I think we're just going to take Snap here, because we can just Stubborn Denial and Counter Squall everything else in their hand. Beautiful. Tireless Tracker, what a magic card. What a card. Alright, so opponent's going to cheat in the Batter Skull, sure. Are they priced into the block, though? They're not, or they don't feel that they are. All right, so I think what we have to do here is play EE on 0. It's kind of sucks because we lose our clue, but we don't want them, of course, equipping the... Like, we don't want them really connecting once with this Batter Skull, much less equipping the Germ with it. It's 5 to equip. Yeah, EE on 0. And this way we can still stub their Teferi. The problem is if they draw a land. If they draw an untapped land, then we're in an interesting spot. We don't want our tracker reset, so maybe we just... But if the opponent sequences well here and they've drawn another land, things could get a little bit tricky. All right. Think I'm taking the hit here, but Maybe I shouldn't be. I don't know. Maybe I'm valuing the counter magic a little too highly here, or my own ability to crack my clue before I have to pop EE. I don't know. This is a tough spot. Okay, Teferi, you get stubbed. Counter Squall is more mana efficient there, but... Ooh, they did have the other land, they just didn't shock it into play around us. That's understandable, right? But I want to be able to crack this clue here. And we draw a fetch land, that's sweet. Alright, so let's crack EE. And we get to make more clues. The tracker game is strong. My life total is getting low enough that I'm not going to shock this one in. And we're just going to pass holding everything up here. We can go trophy backed up by Stub or Counter Squall next turn on basically anything they do. Also, of course, cracking clues. If they have a land drop to make, they might just try to equip Batter Skull, but doesn't look like that's the case. Guess we're just cracking clues here on the end step. They should not be able to fight through our permission next turn when we untap with all this mana. Another tracker, sure. Alright, let's just trophy the Mystic and go for the win. They might have a Snapcaster Mage, but otherwise, or like a Vendilion Click, but I think that's fairly unlikely. We know 2 of the 3 cards in their hand, and if they don't have another blocker here, or admittedly, I guess a kill spell for tracker. Restoration Angel. Oh no, that is so much worse than I expected. Jeez, that is insane. I mean, again, they don't have anything to tutor up, but still, that is insane. Yikes. Well, they definitely at least have to chump here. So let's make them do that before we give them any other info. We definitely don't want to fetch here because, number one, we might not have any fetchables, but we don't want to go to 7 because if they draw a land, they equip the skull. Yeah. So we're just going to play another tracker. This means we're only holding up 1 piece of permission, but I think that's fine. And Hissing Quagmire plus the smaller tracker getting through is lethal unless they connect with lifelink or something, but we of course are poised to grow the trackers as well, and I'm behind on the clock, so I should probably bear that in mind. I don't even remember what game we're in. Is this game 2? Are we going to go to game 3 if I win? Is that correct? Counter Squall. Alright, I Counter Squall the sword. No, because I've got Spell Snare. Let's stub it, I guess. Alright, opponent should be dead here. okay, they've got a path in their main phasing it. Fair, they're not dead. And we've got nothing to find. Fair enough, fair enough. Alright, let's crack at least one clue here. We're going to attack with both. They're going to have to block the tracker. We're going to pump to keep it alive, right? Yeah, I think we kind of have to. Again, we go shields down with our permission, but... And I do like putting them to 2, although there's definitely an argument for not doing so with that Quagmire, but... Again, behind on the clock, just... kind of taking actions here. Alright, good enough. The opponent scoops. GG, well played. Didn't think we'd get there off the Malta 5. That is without question. And yeah, that was only game 2. So, whew, taking a breather here. Take another glance at the sideboard. Have a little water in my system here, and I don't think we want any changes. Restoration Angel is kind of a scary one against us, though, that's for sure. But I kind of like how we sided the first time. I kind of like just one EE in place of an Opt, and otherwise only the really good sideboard cards are in, and a lot of the other stuff is not. So don't think we saw anything that that merits a change. So back we go once more. Really having to earn it this time around, my friends, but we just beat the control deck on a Malta 5. Not something you can say every day with BGX, so I'll take it. And this hand is pretty decent. It'll be a keep, and I'll try to play quickly on the clock so we don't lose to the clock. That would really suck. So keep 8. There we go. Alright, Tar Pit, back to you. Lord Tywin, back to you. I don't know what our turn 2 play should be. I don't know if it should really be Goyf with no way to grow it, but maybe we'll have a way to grow it here when the opponent's all done with their turn. Who knows? There's a land in there at least. Yeah, they got the Stoneforge, alright. This time, presumably, it will actually find something. The Batter Skull. Sure, so are we priced into just simply decaying the Stoneforge? Well, not necessarily, because we drew Thoughtseize. But I am still going to decay here because it's going to grow the Goyf nice and big for next turn. We can go Thoughtseize into Goyf. It's going to be huge. And also, you know, it's not the best if they have some way to blow out our removal. Unlikely with Decay, but by the time turn 4 rolls around, they could blow us out with the Restoration Angel, right? So I kind of like just taking the kill there. It's value negative because they tutored up a card, but that's why Stoneforge is good. Even though it dies to most things, it still puts you up ahead on resources if the opponent just had spot removal. And the opponent here does not have another land, so that's pretty cool. Thoughtseize. So Bolt, Path, Resto, Stoneforge. What do we care about? Do we just take away Path and try to win with Tarmogoyfs? That's pretty annoying if they draw land for Teferi, but alright, we're banking on them not drawing a land this turn. they don't draw a land this turn, I like our odds. If they do, who knows? But if they do, they get to go Teferi Bounce Goyf. We then get to kill Teferi with Tar Pit, but they're still ahead on resources due to a variety of factors. Alright, they just play SFM. Again, it's good value, but... Alright, we're drawing trophies. Not the very best. Just because they're land screwed, you know, we don't want to ramp them. This is where something like trophy is super annoying compared to alternatives. But we're just going to jam the Goyf and hold up our effects. Maybe they'll find a land and they'll try to go land Teferi. I don't know what to do if they don't do anything. We're maybe just supposed to like fetch and take our turn. It's not very mana efficient, but I think that's what we're gonna do. Like, I don't see us losing if they stay stuck on 2 land, really. They've got a discard to hand size? Wow. They could have at least activated Stoneforge main phase, but I guess that gives the game away if they do. They just picked the sword? Interesting. Alright, another Goyf is a pretty good draw, actually. I don't see the opponent beating triple Goyf in this particular scenario. What have you got, OP? What have you got? I don't think there's any math where a bolt plus a block does anything good here. Alright, we're going to try our third Tarmogoyf. They might have Spell Snare, but we have Counter Squall for it, and I think we will Counter Squall Spell Snare here. Alright, they don't have it. Even better. Even better. Tarmogoyf OP. Okay, they've got Batterskull, right. Do we just trophy this while they're tapped out? I think we do. We've finally given them the third land, but at this point, triple Goyf is hopefully too much to overcome. And remember, we do have Creeping Tar Pit, so even if they kind of manage to stabilize through this somehow, you know, a couple Tar Pit hits and they're dead. They get planes, but there's no path. Good. I've got a full grip, 3 unknown. Cannot cast Click. They can cast Snapcaster Mage, though. That's a good one. That's a very good one here. It keeps them alive, but barely. They throw the whole board away. Blocking. We drew Stubborn Denial. Alright, so since we can hold up Stub while attacking, I think we're supposed to attack. Black, blue, green, we're holding up blue. So we do see the kind of tension between the man lands and the permission, but again, the opponent being stuck on land for so long, we should get there. We should really, really get there. We even have collective brutality, and I promise if we draw it this time, I'll click the life drain mode. But we've got lots of stuff the opponent needs. Yeah, they're opting. That's not a good sign. Of course, their mana is very precious right now. The fact that they need to begin by opting is probably not a good sign for them, but they do hit another land. No blue available. So there's no Teferi, there's the scoop. All right. Whew. This is going well. This is going really well. Thus far, our fun has only been spoiled by Dredge. We're 3-1. We have cashed your league, Anthony. I hope you are enjoying this, my friend. I hope everyone out there is enjoying this. We're having to really earn them, but we are. The deck is performing very well, I have to say. This is a really good kind of showcase for your particular salty Sultai. That's kind of a hard one to say. Salty Sultai. Take on the archetype. Definitely pretty cool. We've had all the different blue cards showing up pretty significantly, I think, at various parts of the league, but let's save the rest of those thoughts for the wrap-up. Let's try to win round 5 here. We're on the play. And it's a thought season to Goyf hand. It's a keep. Opponent will mulligan. It's a very tough question to decide what to fetch for, because fetching for a swamp means we have only 2 basics left in the deck before the opponent even takes a turn. That could be very bad against a lot of decks. And it means we're not getting green for Goyf, or for Skoos. So, but then again, if this is an aggressive deck, like fetching and shocking needlessly just really sucks. So, I think I'm going to get a swamp here, but not an easy blind decision by any means. Opponent's waiting a lot. Are they going to go Simian Guide, Monomorphose, Shadow of Doubt? Because I'll just scoop to that. I'll just quit the league if they do that. Otherwise, what are we thinking about? Here we go. All right, we're back with yeah, I guess we go with the swamp, but tough call. It's Tron. It's Tron that mauled to a 1-lander, but it is a double map 1-lander. So is there any world in which we should not take a map? I still think we're supposed to take a map, but like taking Stirrings is interesting here, but I'm still just going to take Expedition map. They've still got a lot of work to do to assemble Tron. But if we leave them both maps, then all they have to do is find a second land, and then they'll get to Tron eventually, right? Okay, another land. Not the best. Thought about fetching for a blue source there just in case, you know, we want to hold up blue with next turn basically while also playing Tar Pit, but I don't know. Ooh, wow, the opponent's 2 finds have been Urza's Tower, Sylvan Scrying. You've got to be kidding me. Well, when I said they had a lot of work to do, maybe I was just wrong. That's just ridiculous. And we're just drawing more lands. All right, where's Spreading Seas when you need it? So the opponent, at least we know, probably doesn't have a payoff. There's going to be 2 unknowns by the time they go to main. But my goodness, is that absolutely just... Isn't that just typical of Tron? What'd they find a payoff to? It's Karn? Or is it Wormcoil? Wormcoil would be way worse. We just can't beat Wormcoil. It's a 3/3 walking ballista. Yeah, that's pretty bad too. Into map. Now do they kill Ooze? They do. Fair enough. And we literally have drawn nothing but lands, huh? Alright, we'll attack while we can. This is the last turn we can attack with Tar Pit until we kill Ballista. So we are putting the clock on them. We're forcing them to find some good action. They can add, well, we'll see if they have another land naturally or if they need to crack map to get it. That actually changes a lot about their turn. Number one, we hope they don't have another payoff. Number two, we kind of hope they don't have another land naturally. It doesn't change that much, I guess, if they just go get another tower, but them choosing not to get Sanctum of Ugin at this point is kind of good, too. I don't know. We're in trouble. Well, I mean, it's game one. We're against Tron. They just top-decked the perfect things, besides maybe a game-winning payoff. But they did still have a good payoff. So we're just in trouble. So there's something liberating about it, you know? It's just Tron. They're just going to have it or they're not, and we're just going to kill them with Goyf and Tar Pit, or we won't. Karn liberated. All right. Officially just got not drawn by Tron. No two ways about it. They could not have asked for better finds off of the top of their deck. They really couldn't. But the opponent is pressed into taking the Tar Pit with Karn, which is super interesting. Shows you the power of Tar Pit. And now they're presumably going to chump with the Ballista, but if we had any kind of decent action in hand, we could punish them for that. But we don't. So, Inquisition, not very exciting. Relic of Progenitus, I guess we have to take that. Yeah. Brutal, my friends. Absolutely brutal. So did they find anything, or are they just going to go on the dig? It begins with the dig, anyway. Stirrings into another Karn liberated. Alright, we are pretty much just dead. They cast the other one. Fair. Fair enough, I guess. Hex Drinker. Alright, might as well play it out and force them to hopefully minus on it, and then I suppose it is theoretically possible that we can still get there. Because as far as we know, whatever's in their hand is not another payoff. They tick up. All right. Oh, they have a They get a Blast Zone with map. Fair enough. That's a good answer to Hex Drinker. And that's just going to put the nail in our coffin, unless maybe we draw like Pulse off the top for Karn or Trophy. And they're just digging through their deck like nobody's business. Quite an impressive Tron display. And Zone actually... Yeah, they're just going to upkeep it. Fair. You got it. Stubborn Denial. A little late to the party. Concede game. Okay. So now it is time to see how the blue package lines up against Tron relative to the more traditional BGX package. We do have a lot of cards to use here. We definitely do. We have Counter Squall, Collector Oof, and Spreading Seas. And then we also have Extraction and Hercules Recall as potential role players, but I don't know if we want them or not. I genuinely don't. But these 6 are awesome. We're going to bring them in, and we're going to see what looks bad. What looks bad? Fatal Push, bad. Collective Brutality, pretty bad. Scavenging Ooze could get cut, but again, you know, with our threat count on the slightly lower side, I don't hate leaving one in either. You could also maybe argue that Tracker is a little worse just because it's the non-bow with Oof, but still might be better than Skooz. How good is Hercules Recall? I don't think I'm going to play with Surgical because we don't have Land Destruction, and you know, the Surgical on a high value 4 of payoff is like a plan B when you bring it in because you want a Surgical Tron land, right? So, do we play with Hercules Recall? We have, let's say for the sake of argument we do, we cut Skooz and Tracker. We did bring in 2 more bears with Oof, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 threats, and a lot of them are just pretty crappy, but I think that's enough. Stub is good. I guess Opt is still good. Sure, let's play like this. Hercules Recall could be reasonable here. Especially if we're kind of like, if we've landed a Seize and they're kind of playing out a bunch of eggs and some maps, and we get to time walk them while beating with a Goyf or something. You could imagine it being good. Alright. This hand is not very good. It's functional, it's got threats, but it doesn't disrupt them at all. There's no permission. I think we have to mull. Okay, this has permission and disruption of a sort. We really want Spreading Seas, but we don't have it, and we don't have a threat, so this is kind of bad, all things considered, but we're going to keep it. I'm going to keep Bottom Swamp. Opponent's all the way down to 5, that's kind of cool. But it's Tron, you know how that goes, right? Turn 1's going to be shocking in the Watery Grave passing. Might make them think twice about playing a map out into a possible, like, Stubborn Denial, but really, probably not. They're probably far enough behind that they have to just jam their cards, and we, of course, will opt. We need a lot. We need a green mana source. We need a threat, and we need to continue drawing, of course, action. Another opt. I think we just want to see a fresh card. I don't think we have the luxury for that right now. Goyf, there's our threat. Okay, we just need green mana. Green mana off the top. Green mana off the top. Untapped green mana, let's specify. Oh no. So right now our entire hand besides Counter Squall is uncastable. And we have no more cantripping ability in hand, so I guess we're just counter-squalling anything here. Maybe Sylvan Scrying, maybe Ancient Stirrings. We're going to counter-squall whatever you got. Wow, they have to play Forest. Yep, pretty easy counter-squall here. Come on, Greenland off the top. Greenland off the top. Snapcaster Mage. Ooh, this is painful. This is painful. We're definitely just flashing in Snap on their end step here as an Ambush Viper. They're continuing to make their land drops. It's not ideal ones for them, but they got no stone. Greenland, beautiful. Alright, now we're in business. We play the Goyf, we start beating, and of course next turn we can decay the O-Stone. And hopefully it'll be good enough. It really might be. Alright, nice find of the Verdant Catacombs. They're definitely a little late, but opponent's got a map. They're going to crack it main phase, which almost certainly means they don't have another land in hand, so they need to go get one to make a land drop for turn. And now we're at risk of them just top-decking Tron, but okay, Thoughtseize. Good draw. Lets us know exactly what we have to do here, but ooh. This island is awkward. We cannot Thoughtseize and also decay, so I think we're just going to decay the O-Stone. Okay. Well, decaying doesn't grow the Goyf, so we'll just attack first. Let's do it now. They clearly don't have a Dismember. Alright, 2 more hits, the opponent's dead. And they top deck Tron, are you kidding? Are you kidding? What is this, Ugin? Oh my god, this is so disgusting. Well, I mean, we're not dead, because we can trophy it, but I mean, there's no way they had that. Blah, I can't talk. Okay, hold on. Let's think about this. So, is there an argument here for simply just Thoughtseizing instead of trophying? Because again, we can only do one. Like, Ugin can take up and bolt us, but I think we have to Thoughtseize here and then trophy next turn. It's just we're slow rolling our threats even more by then, but I'm more scared of what's in their hand. So yeah, we Thoughtseize. All is dust. It sure is. All sure is dust. Our hopes for the 4-1 are pretty much dust, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe the opponent had it the whole time. Maybe they had Tron the whole time. Alright, so it feels like they've got another land in hand. Okay, Tar Pit's an alright draw. We trophy. Your Ugin. Either that or they just have another Ugin in hand. We trophy your Ugin, we play the Use, we play the Tar Pit, and they're back on a turn 2-turn clock, but now they have Tron and now it's just way worse. But we have hope. We have hope. We just need them to brick. They're flooded. They are flooded, but so are we. It's alright, it might be good enough. Are there creatures in the graveyards? There are not. There are not any. So we will therefore sandbag our Blooming Marsh. So we are threatening, you know, like opt or what have you. Alright, so the opponent makes it a 5-turn clock by killing the tar pit. Fair enough. Kind of forgot about that Ghost Quarter, to be perfectly honest. It's been a long league. We're at the very end of it. And we're getting Troned. Okay, opponent draws a map. So this means they're going to get the Sanctum of Ugin, probably, or Blast Zone. One of the two. Blast Zone, sure. Do we trophy Blast Zone? This is a very interesting decision. If we trophy the Blast Zone, then our Skoos could go all the way, but we need them to brick for so many more turns. If we trophy a Tron land, that doesn't accomplish anything really, except like shutting off Ulamog, basically. So, not going to do that. We could also sandbag trophy for a payoff, but with them, yeah, I think I'm just going to trophy Blast Zone. It's definitely not great. Like, if we had a Tarmogoyf or something, it would be great. But yeah, we're just gonna trophy the Blast Zone, I guess. Alright, well, now we need them to brick for 3 turns. Odds are pretty low. Odds are nice and low. You know, but if they brick for 1 turn, then we could top deck Permission. Is this it's a scrying. Okay, this basically counts as a brick, unless they have another Blast Zone. Sanctum of Ugin, sure. So now we're extra dead to them finding a payoff, but that was already the case. We drew Permission. Alright, so if their payoff is not a creature, we are in business. How funny will it be if this Grizzly Bear goes all the way? Another Sylvan Scrying, alright. They're just thinning out the deck at this point. Creeping Tar Pit. That is actually a really good draw. That even beats like a Wormcoil Engine. Alright guys, I think we got there. I don't know what they could have. You know, Ulamog, maybe, is the thing. Please don't have Ulamog. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can go get Ulamog. Shit. Alright, well, we're going to let them do that before we show that we're going to counter their thing. Maybe they'll want to get Wormcoil Engine anyway because they're afraid of... Damn. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Doesn't matter. I keep forgetting Counter Squall. Counter Squall the finisher. Oh, Counter Squall the finisher. How sweet is that? I forgot about that. But that's a stylish kill, and that's the second time this league we finished them off with a good old Counter Squall. Is that enough to put this card on the thumbnail? I mean, how often do you actually get a kill, like a straight kill with Counter Squall? I don't know, but we've done it twice, and that's pretty awesome. So, again, guys, no matter how this finishes, I've been very happy with this league. This is, that we just beat Tron, despite them top-decking Tron after, you know, in a really tough spot, and us not having any spreading seas. And we mulliganed, too, didn't we? Just looking to see if we want anything else different. Anything... No, I don't think so. I think we're just running it back. Yeah, we had no oof, no seas, and we still got there against Tron. Now, granted, they flooded. They flooded. They had their share of bad luck for sure with flooding all through the mid game when we were cold to a payoff. But pretty pumped, guys. Pretty pumped. And we have Oof and Seas in the opponent mauls. This is a keep. Awesome. And we've got Stubborn Denial for turn 1. Denial or Opt. Opponent will keep 6. And they go turn 1 Forest? Whoa! Wild. Alright, I guess have to... I don't know if they'll have Veil of Summer in against us. I guess we have to be wary of that. And they have a relic that they found, which is pretty annoying. But that is alright. Another Opt is not the best. But yeah, Oof will shut off the relic. And we don't need to seize right away because they let on Forest. Alright, what is our op reveal? Sure. Op will reveal Scoos will bottom you. Counter Squall. Alright, so I think we're just jamming the Oof here. It's going to make a lot of their stuff a lot worse. Hurkyl's Recall is pretty sweet too. Once again, we're worried about Veil of Summer though. But yeah, let's jam the Oof. Opponent's just cantripping with a relic. Okay, we got that out of the way to regrow our Goyf in the near future. And we'll see what the opponent can do in the face of the Oof here. Begin with the Stirrings. They find a Forest, okay. They play a star. They play a star. Alright, so here's an example of a time where Recall is great, but I think we'd rather seize to try to draw another land. And we draw Darkslit Shores. Absolutely perfect. The only question is, do we Thoughtseize or do we hold up Opt and Stubborn Denial? I think we're going to Thoughtseize. Again, a little concerned about Veil of Summer being around. Thrag Tusk, all is dust. Well, guess we're going to take the Tusk just because it's more hard castable. And now that we know about All is Dust, we can hopefully counter it if it gets to that point. Opponent having Blast Zone is a big problem, though. That's very annoying. And it means we can't really play our Goyf. So I think we can Opt main phase here. Hex Drinker, huh? Alright, so the opponent this turn is going to put a counter on zone, then next turn they have to basically use their whole turn to crack it, so I think this turn we can afford to go Hex Drinker. So we'll put him on top. I actually think we're just going to run them out and put no levels on it. Like, holding up Counter Squall and Hercule's Recall is too good. Like, I think we could justify actually putting a couple levels on it, but there's no real reason to. And they are still priced into going to 2 for the oof. So, makes sense. So do we recall now just to be mana efficient? I think now that we have Hex Drinker, I think we should. Cool that that card's seen a little action here. I was afraid we'd go through a league without casting our Hercule's Recall, but here it is. And the opponent did not make a 5th land drop. Let's attack without leveling up Hexy. We miss out on a little damage this turn this way, but they're probably gonna... Oh, they don't? Alright. Good discipline from the opponent. But that's alright. Still think we're supposed to hold up our effects and just level this guy a little bit more slowly. So if we were not going all in, then this doesn't change the damage output this turn anyway. We could have kind of gone 6-1 half dozen of the other, but we really wanted to leave our mana open to deploy Tarmogoyf this turn, if the opponent had cracked it during attacks, right? But the opponent had to Stone Rain themselves to do that, so they really need to hit some land drop stat. And to that end, I'm actually just going to counter this Chromatic Star. I think. Yeah, let's do it. That could have been bait, but I also think we're kind of supposed to counter something for sure this turn. We don't want to let the turn pass without having that option. But the opponent found a mine, and now if they find another Tron land, they can all as dust. And, well, no, because we can make Stubborn Denial actually great. We just can't. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. All right, we can do it all. We're going to hold up a stub. We're going to put the Hexy to 4. We're going to play a Goyf. We're going to play our land. And the opponent is dead on board. We've got Stubborn Denial. Okay. Awesome. Now what does the opponent have for only 2 mana? Walking Ballista is a 1/1. Sure. So they're just dead if we make the Hex Drinker a 6/6. We did it, guys. Holy moly. What a league. What a league. That was insane. All right. I know that was a long one. Sometimes these leagues go long, but man, this one was pretty well worth it, right? I think this one was worth watching. Every single match went down to the wire. This was really good gameplay that the deck provided for us. My friend, Anthony, my friend, what do you think? Your deck, I would say, definitely showed us what's up. A lot of choices that I think a lot of people would regard as unconventional, even though, as I mentioned in the deck tech, we had a lot of, Sultai is almost by definition unconventional, right? And then we have, because it's unconventional, we have a few different ways to try to build the deck to optimize the incongruities between the powerful blue cards and the powerful black-green core. But in this case, we're opting for some more traditionally tempo-oriented cards like Stub and Recall, alongside kind of a very fair sorcery speed way to interact and draw cards like Spreading Seas, with Opt as kind of the glue that bridges the gap between those two kind of poles of the blue pool here. And this was awesome. We just got kind of cheesed out by Dredge, by a really good Dredge progression in the 2 games that they won, with us not being particularly well prepared to face the deck. But then we came back and I won't say we crushed the other 4 rounds opponents, because they were all actually really close, but we came back and we hit the hot streak. We went 4-1. Absolutely awesome, guys. My results in general have been super hot lately. Everything's been a 4-1 or a 5-0, with maybe a couple 3-2s across all BGX decks. I've been playing everything but Abzan, and hopefully we'll play some Abzan soon for you. But on Rock, on Jund, and now on Salty Sultai, the results have been awesome. There is a really good period of results for the Grimflayer, and a really good time to be playing Green-Black X. We've got Jund, all kinds of new toys on Jund, with Ren and 6 making the deck absolutely awesome. We've got Abzan, of course, just got a new lease on life with Stoneforge Mystic. We've got the Rock, which is probably still the best one to take down the Tron and the other big mana boogeymen that are probably coming back in the format, and being the painless mana and the most consistent good old Rock. And now we've got Sultai in the mix, guys. This Sultai list seems like the real deal to me. Looks a little bit, on paper, like it might have some issues with things coming together. But this list, the more I've played it, even before I started this league, the more I played it, I was like, I really see why he did that. I really see why these choices were made. So holy moly, this was a fun league. This was a great league, great result, and thank you once again, Anthony, for your extremely generous level of support in making this league possible. I truly hope you got your enjoyment out of this one, and the only regret is that we didn't manage to sneak by a Dredge for the 5-0. How sick would that have been? But hey, we'll take the 4-1 all day, every day. So yeah, I mean, I kind of went into the league assuming we're going to put Snapcaster Mage on the thumbnail just because he's kind of the iconic blue card of the BGX pool. But, man, I don't know. The permission was pretty sweet here. Stubborn Denial winning us the game right at the end. Counter Squall finishing the opponent off twice. And Spreading Seas also looking pretty decent, as well as being what I would assume is kind of the namesake of the deck, bringing the salt washing up on our opponent's shore. So I'll have to see what one of those looks best in the thumbnail, because the blue cards were awesome here. The blue cards were awesome, and we had the green-black core doing a lot of work as well. We had Hex Drinker winning us a couple games. We had Tireless Tracker winning us a couple games. Tarmogoyf winning us some games. Skoos couldn't quite get us there against Dredge, but even Obstinate Baloth winning us, and Oof, like all of the green threats were really good this league at various stages. So I'll stop talking now. It's been a really long league. I am drained, but I am pumped. This was great. So thank you once again to Anthony. Thank you once again to Mads, Frank, and Mike, all of whom are either new patrons or are existing patrons who have upped their level of support. My friends, if you are enjoying this content, see the link below, grimflayer.com patreon.com/grimflayermtg. That's the one. I am on Patreon. All money that you donate, every dollar, adds up. And over time, if you reach a $50 lifetime donation, you can qualify for a donation league just like this one. And there are other tier rewards as well. You get to vote on what I write about on my scouting reports. You get to read the scouting reports. You get other privileges at higher tiers, all the way up to one-on-one coaching, unlimited one-on-one coaching at the Of the Veil tier. So check it out. If you're enjoying this content, that is the very best way to support me. I'll be honest, money is very tight for me. Working father, very high expenses, and it's especially over the summer, it's been a little bit lean. So even a little bit goes a long, long way in my life. I do truly appreciate it. I'm actually also trying to sell out of my paper cards, or at least somewhat sell out of them just so I can move my presence even more firmly online and be here more for you with more content and upgrade the operation in any way we can online. So I'm doing what I can on my end, and your support helps make all of this possible. So thank you all so much. Stay tuned to the channel because we are going to have more donation leagues, I'm sure, coming up. I need to look at what's in the queue for this month. We still have Elves on the Back Burner as another donation league, and I'm going to bring you my takes, my new initial takes with the new meta and the post-ban meta on Rock and on Abs and Stoneblade, probably. We'll definitely see what we can do about one or both of those, but either way, you know where to go for the BGX content. It's right here, Grimflayer MTG. So thanks again, guys. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Let me know what you thought about the sideboarding the lines. Again, new to the deck. Welcome to any correction or discussion. And I'll talk to you soon. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day.